Meriwether County Board of Commissioner meeting for January the 8th, 2020. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. At this time, we'd like to stand for invitation, please. Heavenly Father, we come thank you for our many blessings. I want to thank you for allowing us to come into a new year. We ask as we do the county business in 2020 that we do things that are pleasing to you and that we are here to serve the citizens of Meriwether County and do things that will be upright for everyone in this county. I ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election for the chair for 2020. I'd like to get, at this time, a motion on the floor or nomination.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Brian Threadgill as chair for 2020.
Okay, so there's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner McCoy and second by Commissioner Hatley. And any other discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. At this time, Commissioner Threadgill will finish conducting the remaining part of the minutes as chairman for the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, everybody. All right, we'll go to the second item is to elect the vice chair for 2020. Is there a, can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for Commissioner McCoy to be our vice chair.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second. There's a motion and a second. We have a vote. All in favor? Motion carries. That's right. Anybody opposed? Yeah. All right. Appointment of the county clerk. So we have a motion.
I make a motion to reappoint Beverly Thomas as our county clerk.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Appointment of the deputy clerk. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Allison Stevens as our deputy clerk.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? And the appointment of our county attorney. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we continue with Mr. Nathan Lee.
And I'll second that. All in.
Do we need to say the firm name because it's not always?
Like the word, we prefer that you, our law firm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because we have different
Right,
attorneys.
so yeah, we have, you have the full services of our law firm.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Can you amend that?
Well, I amend that we appoint the, was it Glover? Glover.
Okay.
And I'll second that. All in favor? It was everybody. All right. Next item on the agenda is to set the dates and times for regular meetings and work sessions for 2020 and establishment of rules for governing commission meetings. Mr. Gay?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we, right now, scheduled the first meeting, being on a Wednesday, I guess the second Wednesday of the month, and then the fourth, Tuesday in the evening. That's your regular schedule that we followed for quite a while. And then we've been having on every other month a work session. And I know that there's been some discussion of whether or not we wanted to change that work session to just once a quarter, which you can always come back in and add these, and you can take away if you want to. So the question would be is, do you want to keep the dates and times as they have been, and do you want to keep the every other month work sessions, or would y'all prefer to go to a once a quarter work session? And if you do, I would suggest that we do the last meeting in the quarter. That way we can report on what's happened during that quarter. had some discussion with, just reducing those work sessions to once a quarter, so that's a, I don't handle that, but
So,
we just need to establish those things.
so hearing what you have said, instead of every other month, we could move it to every quarter and do it at the end of the last meeting, at the end of that quarter, to be able to report on what had happened during the entire quarter.
Right, or, what would be coming up for the next quarter, or whatever we needed to do. And I would also like to, just to get some input from you guys during the quarter, what you'd like to have, and what you'd like to discuss during that period of time too. I think sometimes, we've been just kind of choosing the agenda and putting that together, and it would be good to have, some input, on things that you guys would like to have us talk about.
So hearing what Mr. Gay has said, what's the pleasure of the board as far as moving it from the work session from every other month to once per quarter?
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a comment on that. I personally like to keep it as it is, and my main reason is we don't meet but but every other month, twice a month. But one of the things is there's a lot to have to be discussed, and a lot of times that information don't come to us until the meeting, and a lot of times I can say personally, I don't get a chance to hear what the other board members' view is on things. So with as much that needs to be done and covered, I think continuing the way that we have it for the work session would be more beneficial. That's just my personal opinion.
And I sort of agree with that too, because like you said, we do have a lot coming before us. I think we just need to have some real specifics to talk about when we get there, plan it ahead of time, what we're going to talk about in those work sessions. And we can always cancel it if we don't have one, have anything to go over.
We need to make sure it's structured, because we've had a lot of them that are not structured and are just to speak at will, and we need to have it more focused.
Well, I would suggest that we then establish the topics ahead of time and just stick to those topics. And that would be my suggestion.
Especially if we got something going on that, like Commissioner Hines said, if we need to really see what the other members are thinking, because we don't see each other or talk necessarily about this, before time. So I'm fine with leaving it every other month.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I wouldn't mind going to once a quarter, but if the board's pleasure is to go for every other month, I don't really have a problem with that.
All right, so hearing what we have discussed, do we have a motion?
What I was going to ask, does this motion need to, the second part of this thing is to establish the rules for governing the commission meeting. Can we bring that back, let everybody have a chance to look over these rules and come back and vote
I
on
think
that
that's
part?
two different things.
Oh, you going to make it two different things? Okay. Then I make a motion then that we continue with our schedule as is.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second, all in favor? Bud, you gonna vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't bother me with little stuff.
All right. Next, we have on the agenda establishment of rules governing commission meetings, and Mr. Gay has provided, and it'll be sent to everybody, some outlines of a draft that we have. We'll bring this back at our next meeting to vote on, but it'll be sent out to all the board members. And it's quite extensive, so we won't read it this time. We'll wait until everybody's had a chance to look at that. But it'll be sent out to everybody, and then we'll go from there to see what everybody thinks.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question regarding that. That is information that you provided, so the board as a whole also have an opportunity to put some input in that draft, in that information.
Yeah.
And what I will do
That would be
is,
the purpose of letting everybody read it and bring it
that's
up.
right. So
I just want to make sure there was clarity on that.
I was planning on getting that early, we just simply ran out of time, and so it's still in draft form. I actually have a larger thing that defines a lot of things, such as, what constitutes quorum, et cetera. I may try to work that in as well and send that out, but it is a thicker document, but I'll send that to everybody, let you guys take a look at it too. And, and then we can make some decisions on there. One thing I would like to ask you guys to consider moving forward. Right now, our department gets a lot of us until the morning meeting, evening meeting. I'd like to maybe have it where we don't have to ask them to come back in the evenings. Sure. maybe one time a month, or if the desire and you guys are okay with them just working and sending a report, a written report, however y'all want to do it. But when we discuss the rules until the next meeting, I want to kind of discuss that too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda.
Do we need to go ahead and make a motion to put this for our next session, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I don't think we need to make a motion.
We'll put it back on. Mr. Chairman, on this adopted agenda, we did have a citizen who had met the timeline for asking to be on the agenda.
Okay.
And Beverly was out of the office that afternoon, and we didn't get it until after it had gone out. We would recommend that we add that as a,
What is it?
that is Mr. Rollins. He wanted to speak on the White Oak Creek Bridge.
And where do we put that?
Number 10, because I have also one we need to add, number 9, under new business. Let me write this down. We had the president of theater, one of the board members wrote an email to me, and I did forward it to you, Mr. Getty.
Okay.
And what happened is back in March 26th of 2019, there was a private citizen that donated a house and property to the President Theater in Manchester on 2nd Avenue. And they do have it documented at the tax assessor's office. It was done on the 26th. However, they received a bill for the entire 2019 tax. And so we need to place on here to go in and allow you to recalculate the taxes from March 26th, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. And I guess, do we vote on that today to allow you to do that and then have those removed, the additional tax removed,
Yeah.
based on your calculations?
Yeah, I think y'all could go ahead and vote for Bessie to take a look at that and bring that back.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it. Anybody else have anything to add? All right. Adding number 9 and number 10 to the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor? All right. Next item on the agenda are the minutes from December the 11th, 2019 regular meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read those? Any changes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is municipal comments. Mayor Glover?
Good morning. Everybody. Looking forward to a productive 2020.
Thank you, so are we. Mayor Steve from Woodbury.
Happy New Year. Thank you for taking the opportunity to do the county's business. And one thing I'd really like to share with the county this morning. Yesterday, after the police meeting, I got a call and I can't hear. Yesterday, the city of Woodbury was the first city in the state to be designated as a broadband-ready community. So, from the Department of Community Affairs, the letter came down yesterday. We're very excited. Thank you for that.
Don't see any other city reps. Ms. Carolyn from the chamber.
Oh, yes, thank you. I have 4 quick items. One is, and you all may be aware of this already, that our tourism division was successful in obtaining another grant from the Georgia Council for the Arts. Was announced in November. And we used that money to bring the Jungle Book from Serenity Playhouse to our 2nd graders. We also used it to purchase the Jungle Book for every 2nd grader in the county. Got volunteers to go in and read, and they were bused to Corpus for the play, and then they came back to the school and did post-performance evaluation. So we're very proud of that opportunity to bring the arts to our 2nd graders. Also, our chamber has partnered with our 4-H agent, Ashley Harmon, to launch a youth leadership program, and we are working out the details as we speak. and that will begin in February, and it will target high school students in Manchester High School, Greenville High School, and Flint River Academy. Also, we're finalizing our participation for Leadership Meriwether. It's not too late, so if you have anybody else you want to get in there, we're trying to wind those applications up this week. And lastly, I have a flyer from the President Theater I'd like to share with y'all. This is an Eagle sound-alike band, whatever you call them. They're not called sound-alike, but
Tribute bands.
tribute bands. Yeah, that's a much
Sound-alike.
Anyway, I'd like to share this with you. The tickets are on sale on the website listed there, and they are $20 per person. And this band has an excellent reputation, and those of you who like 60s and 70s music, I think the Eagles were made in the 70s, still are.
That was my time.
70s through, they are timeless.
My time, yeah, timeless.
Anyway, so hopefully some of y'all can attend and support the President Theater. They're working very hard on getting more programming there, and the theater is finished. It's an asset to our community, so I hope y'all come out and support that. Thank you.
Thank
All I have.
Mr. Chair, I have one question for Carolyn. On the Leadership Meriwether, I had sent you a name of somebody who was interested in it. It's been back some time ago.
Was that, is the bullet?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Is he gonna do it?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the constitutional officers. I see the sheriff is here from the sheriff's office. Any comment? You too. We'll move on to the department head comments, and we'll start with Skip.
Nothing at this time, Chairman.
Thank you. Brent?
Nothing this time, Mr. Chairman.
Sean?
Skip's got some pictures on the computer. Everybody happy New Year to begin with. We've done some work at the shelter over the holidays. We added some new top kennels for puppies and small dogs. We've done some paint and lots of other stuff there, so y'all, as always, come by and look and see what we've done. Let everybody know we finished off the year with a 98.8% live release rate. We are the highest in the state of Georgia for live release on animals. Next one below us, DeKalb County at 96%, so I feel we've done real good with the shelter. We ended the year between adoptions and transports. We had 6 dogs in the shelter for Christmas holidays. So we're still struggling to get them all out there. Y'all come by, if you need a new baby, come on by and get one. We wound up treating about 8 dogs with heartworms last year to save them from euthanizing. As always, y'all come by and look and see what we've done and get you an answer.
Thank you very much. And I do want to comment on the pictures that Sean has up here. This is costing the taxpayers of Meriwether County absolutely no dollars. Sean and I secured funds from a nonprofit to do this, and we're not complete with that yet. There will be new gates and all put up, but this provides an area for smaller dogs that will be able to go above the larger kennels if we're extending the capacity that we can have there. But all of this has cost the taxpayers absolutely no money. And Sean does a great job, so thank you. Tyrell.
I just have a report on water rolls over the Baskerville Mill. Last weekend, Mike washed our hands over there. We got crews out this morning to start work on the road. I think we got a way over the pipe coming in, which we try to get it up to soon. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Terrell some questions, if you don't mind, or just bring it to the board's attention. County Line Road, we had an opportunity to ride on that road, and I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board, we have applied for a grant, and hopefully we get the grant, but if not, then we really need to discuss how we're going to address County Line Road. It is,
When should we hear from the grant?
Mr. Theron will probably be able to give us some information, but it is a road that, we have so many roads that we need to address, but this is in our industrial park for a lot of reasons. When there's accidents on Highway 85, traffic gets rerouted on this road. And because of that, it's just got a lot more traffic. And so I just want to make the board be aware we've had, once again, some more accidents on the road, and we need to address that. And the one other question I'd like to ask far as coming to assist you in public works.
Can we wait on that since that's not in the department head comment section?
I don't necessarily say it's not in that section, I just needed a comment, I just needed to find out.
They'll be here, but
Bill, call for.
I have very much to do with the, on the fire station, the rain really kind of cut back and scheduling. But the steel package is going to arrive on the 20th or around the 20th for the Pebble Grove station, and with there should soon follow that. So it should be underway getting structure up.
Thank you. Okay. Alphonse?
Briefly, I don't have a financial report yet, or I guess the holidays put up a little damper on that, but I expect the call volume's up slightly for last month. I expect the numbers will be probably average to maybe a little above average. I think we'll close out the year with probably just a few $1,000s more collections, more than we did last year. Call volume, like I said, is up. We've had 20 MVCs. We've had 9 structure fires, was a little busy. Some of those weren't full-blown homes or things like that. There were some smaller structures involved. One of the things I also wanted to mention was walk-ins. We had 3 walk-ins last month. It's becoming a more common, I think it probably was always there. I think people would knock on doors that wouldn't get answered. But these are walk-ins that we know about where people didn't have to go elsewhere, and we're able to assist in that fashion. So I think that's encouraging too, and we'll start seeing numbers develop and maybe trends that we're able to assist the public in that manner as well. So that's pretty exciting. Like I said, 398 calls for last month, which is not a big jump, but a little jump over what we've been. So we're getting, as far as call volume, a little busier. So anyway, and that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Kathy?
Good morning and happy New Year.
Good morning.
Do you mind sharing this? Sharon, thank you. Building and zoning has been very, very busy for the month of December, and January has started off with a bang. We have issued permitting for new homes, additions, remodels, things such as that in excess of $2,700,000 for the month of December. We're looking for January to beat that or even more. So we got a lot going on in building and zoning. We also are doing all of our business license applications for renewals. They have until January the 15th for any of the unincorporated areas of Meriwether County to come in and get that taken care of without penalty. After that, there is a fine for being late. We're probably a little better than 50 to 60% on the last year's notifications that have already come in. But again, they've got until the 15th before we have to charge them a penalty on that. So looking forward to working with everyone, and if y'all have a chance, come by and see us, see what's going on. We also are getting started on our quarterly builders meeting, and we're hoping to have one in February. I believe Mr. Theron, they've already secured the room and everything. Our state bill group is actually going to come in and sponsor and take care of that and just meet with all the builders, Mr. Theron, and some other people that will have come in. We'll be working directly with them all during this process. So we will have them come in, meet and greet, and just make sure everybody is aware of the process and see that everything is going along smoothly. And we'll continue to work on things like that, make sure everybody is working well with that. If we have issues, of course, we want to work together and work through those and make sure everything stays in a smooth process. All right, thank you.
Do we have the actual date?
February the 12th, I believe. 12 to 2 to be a lunch meeting. Yes, ma'am.
I see that the district was omitted. Is there a reason for that?
Because I did it instead of Ms. Jacqueline, and I didn't get it put in there. I apologize. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ms. Jane? 4-H?
Good morning and happy New Year. I want to echo what you said about the youth leadership program. I'm very excited to be partnering with the chamber to bring youth leadership back to Meriwether County. I do want to add that she mentioned Manchester High School, Greenville High School, Flood River. But we also have homeschool students and any other student that lives in Meriwether County. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. are eligible to be a part of your youth leadership program. 4-H, we've been extremely busy over the holidays. We're gearing up to promote summer camp, and if you know me, you know that summer camp is the reason I'm a 4-H agent, because I get to spend multiple weeks at summer camp. So if you see me around the county as a Native American, then you'll know that I'm promoting Rock Eagle in the next few weeks. Our onion sale will be coming up. We have an onion sale fundraiser for our 4-Hers to attend to help offset the cost of summer camp. And I know lots of you will buy multiple bags, so you'll get those bags this year too. And actually, I'm going to slip out in just a minute. We are gearing up for District Project Achievement, and that's our public speaking contest. So I'm going out to the schools to practice those speeches this afternoon and this morning. So we'll compete on February the 1st. We have 13 4-Hers that are planning to head to Lincoln County for that competition. Thank you. And if you have youth, or if you know of someone that would be interested, please get in touch with myself or Carolyn. They're to go to their counselors to get the application for the program. And if they're homeschooled or if they don't go to school in Meriwether County, they can get in touch with me or Carolyn on that.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is public hearing. We don't have a need for that. So we'll move to the next item, which is unfinished business. Number 1 under that is appointment to Recreation Advisory Board at large.
That's a carryover from the last meeting.
So do we have a motion for anyone to be appointed? That's not for a district, right? That's for
This
the
is
large.
at large position.
That's Mr. Carl Kelly's position.
Does anyone have anyone at this time?
You may want to continue, Mr.
Yes. So
Allen.
do we have a motion to table?
Move the table.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? All right, it will be tabled. Appointment to Zoning Board of Appeals, District 2.
I'd like to appoint Vivian Smith. She's a resident of Primrose Road.
We have a motion for Ms. Vivian Smith for District 2 Zoning Board of Appeals. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Ms. Vivian Smith. All in favor? Motion carries. Appointment to Water and Sewage Authority to fill unexpired term of Tommy Arnold, who has requested to come off the board due to an illness. That is District 4, that is mine. I would actually like to appoint Bubba Allen, make a motion to appoint Bubba Allen to that. He does have a background in water and sewage, and it is to fill the expired term, so it will expire on 12/31 of this year. So I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right. Planning, appointment to the Planning and Commission District 4. That is me. I do not have anyone. I would like to make a motion to table that at this time. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor to table? Motion carries. All right. Execution of resolution confirming reappointment of Robert Gregory Hobbs to Meriwether County Board of Assessors.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is just really paperwork catching up. You guys have already appointed Greg, and we just need to get this resolution.
Okay. So hearing that, do we have a motion?
I move to execute the resolution.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, that ends the old business. We'll move into the next item, which is new business. Appointment to the IDA District 4. Term expires on January 13th of this year. That is mine. I do not have anyone, and I know that I cannot appoint myself, but I think that I would bring something to the table. I have a lot of contacts in multiple states. So if there's someone that would want to appoint me, I will take that position.
You stepped into it. I move to appoint.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, appointment to the DFACS to fill unexpired term. That is actually, I hold that seat, and I do have a plate that runneth over, so I am stepping down from that. But I have spoken to a gentleman who has agreed to do this, to take over the amount of the term, and that is Mr. Bobby Moreland. So I make a motion that we put Bobby Moreland on the DFACS board. There's a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. Appointment to the Broadband Authority to fill unexpired term. Again, that is my term. I need to step down off of that board too. So I have asked that Commissioner McCoy be placed on that board. So I'm making a motion that we place Buster McCoy on the Broadband Authority to fill my unexpired term. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Appointment to the Pathways Community Service Board to fill unexpired term. That too is mine. I do not have anyone to fill that as of yet, so I will place a motion to table this until next term, our next meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table. All in favor? Motion carries.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How often does the Pathways Board meet
Quarterly.
here in Greenville?
It is. You'll do it.
You'll do it.
I'll do it.
All right, so we will revise the motion to table, and I will make a motion to place Beth Hadley on the Pathways Service Board. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
You've got it, second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Beth. That's all the ones I need to come off of. Number 5 is approved continuation of banking and financial services and signatures for 2020.
Mr. Chairman, what this involves is removing the current last year's chairman and co-chairman signature card and adding yourself, Commissioner McCoy, to those, with the addition of 2 accounts at F&M for 2020 supplies and 2022 supplies.
Okay.
I'll need a copy of your driver's license before we get out of here.
Okay. All right. Number 5, hearing what Mr. Bill said, we have a motion on the floor to approve that.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Number 6, approve qualifying fees and advertisement for 2020 elections.
Chairman, Commissioners, the state of Georgia, of course, requires the governing authorities to publish a qualified fee for each county office that's up for election no later than February 1st. Patty has always been working on that and does a good job. What we do is we have attached the qualified fees. This year for the election of 2020, the following positions will be on the ballot: sheriff, clerk of court, probate court, tax commissioner, coroner, county commissioner District 2, county commissioner District 4, board of ed District 2, and board of ed District 4. And in your package you have a list of qualified fees. We need to ask the board to please consider adopting those fees and allow Patty's office to move forward with the necessary advertisements.
Okay.
And the fees are based upon 3% of previous year's salary, or in the cases of the constitutional office, 3% of the base salary. That's how it's calculated.
All right. So hearing what Mr. Gay says, and has everybody had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Can we have a motion to approve qualifying fees and allow Patty's office for the advertisement of those for the 2020 elections?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. This is just with the elections. Where do we stand on our new election equipment?
She leave?
No, she's over there.
Oh. I hope it will be here soon.
I mean, because it's got to be used this year, right? Does it have to be used starting in the primaries or with the general election?
We will begin voting on it for advanced voting on March the 2nd.
And we don't have it yet. Okay. All right.
Anybody else have any questions for Ted? All right, moving on to the next item, report from Meriwether County Airport Authority and discussion of the fuel farm.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Good things happening at the airport. Our, one of our last obstruction removal projects has come to a conclusion with the exception of, in the contract, it stated that after everything was removed, that they would seed and it would be established, the grassing and so forth. So the mulch and straw and seed has been blown out. I don't know how much of it's going to take with all the rain that we had. I'm sure there's some washing, but when you go out onto the ramp, you can look to the north and you're not seeing a mountain down there anymore. All of that's been moved down and cleared out of the way. Did a really good job with McCoy grading on that. Fuel farm has already been approved. That's in the works right now. The bad news is our existing fuel farm is down. It's dead. It is not going to be resurrected. We're not getting anything out of it on the inside. So it's been shut down now for about 6 weeks. I was able to get down there when it first went down, and I was able to get it to work manually. And so I was called a couple of times to go down and turn it on manually so people could fuel their airplanes that were transient passing through. That's the bad news. The good news is the new one, we're going to have a 12,000 gallon capacity tank, which will allow us to take a 9 to 10,000 gallon load at one time. And so we won't have to be dependent on another airport to split a fuel load and split the cost and all that sort of thing. When we need the fuel, we can take a tanker full and it'll be completely done. So that's already been approved and in the works. And hopefully sometime in February, March, April, depending on conditions, support the slab and get everything set up, we'll have a completely brand new system, pumps and all. The other thing is, good news for the county, is that at one of our later meetings, we voted to, since the county has been behind us on our efforts and we borrowed money from you that we paid back and so forth, our T hangars and our blue hangar is completely full. The Glider Club violated their contract that they had with us, and we had no choice but to give them notice. At the same time, we had a small committee that was searching for a maintenance facility to come in. This coincided with each other that we found somebody there in the blue hangar right now that's a maintenance facility. They're even bringing some airplanes with them to the airport that'll be in our tax base. So that's up and running. The blue hangar, or the T hangars, all of those are full, and we have a waiting list. And A.J. Atchison on the authority is in charge of keeping up with all of that, and hopefully we will be able to get another row of T hangars. Of course, when all of this happens, that's more money for us and more money for the county and taxes on the airplane. We did vote to some of the stuff that the county has been helping us with to extend a check to the county. So I have that with me here this morning. Check for $25,000 from us to you guys to help pay for our stuff that we have along the way. One other thing, we have a little short PowerPoint presentation that Lead Edge Design, our engineering company, Bill Everly, is going to show you right quick. Just to tell you.
Could you introduce the rest of your airport authority leaders?
Well, A.J. Atchison is here. Paul Harmon. Where is that? David Jenkins couldn't be here, he was on call, and Bob Gordon is here also.
They did Phil.
And Bill Everly is, and his wife Whitney is our engineering firm.
And Richard DePortes is here.
There, yeah, there's Richard there.
Oh, okay.
He's in our new blue hangar.
Right, good to see you.
Welcome.
All right.
Okay, well, everything on the airport is super positive.
So, I'll go quickly through this, but Phil Everly, Lead Edge Design, who worked at your airport for years as planning engineer. You guys are exemplary from a standpoint of supporting the airport in a way, solid decision making, very fiscally responsible. The airport authority has done a great job. We work a lot of places, so not everybody has this kind of energy going on, so it's great. I'll go real quick. Title this I didn't write to the east side on the end of that, I wrote moving up, because that's what's going on at the airport right now. Real quick, in Georgia, 103 public use airports that get FAA, eligible for FAA money, right? So about 2/3, 159 counties, about 2/3 of all the counties have an airport, okay? So uniquely for us, our airport was opened in 1932. Most of the airports in Georgia are from the 1960s. A few World War II airports. We're very historic element out there, right? That period is kind of a golden age of flight. We've talked about it a bit before. Kind of the soul of the airport is very unique. And we always want to use that to our advantage and build off of that as a brand. We have great runway length, 5,000 feet. That was extended a few years back. We had, at the end of that extension, an open house at the airport to kind of celebrate that. We're getting with the chamber, with Carolyn at the chamber, to set up something beginning this spring as we work toward, in 2022, the 90th anniversary of the airport opening, which was in May of 1932. So we'll work toward, and we'll sponsor the event like we did for the last open house, to begin to have each spring this kind of annual event for the community to come out and enjoy the airport. So we've got great bones. Like Mike said, all our hangars are. One thing also unique for you is you own everything at the airport. Typically at the airport we'll have ground leases, we're private entities that build hangars and things like that. But you actually control everything out there and are debt-free on hangars, and they're all full. A huge thing that has happened that Mike just mentioned is in your search over the years to find someone coming in beyond the field to do airport maintenance, which then makes it more attractive to base at the airport for folks in your hangars. Richard coming in and reaching that agreement in the blue hangar is fantastic. Part of Richard's interest in being here is because you've got full hangars, you're doing the fuel farm, you're building more hangars, you're moving forward in a positive way. I think Richard could, if he was up here speaking, he would say that's not what he experiences all the other places he's been in his career. So you continue to do positive things. We just are wrapping up right now. We just had a final inspection the week before Christmas on a big project out there. You can see in the photos, I don't know if I can get a laser up there, but the two lower left photos, you can see the runway in that picture and the grading off to the right side. When the airport was built originally, it met all the FAA criteria. As the size of airplanes that use the airport and rules have changed over years, the high ground that was adjacent to that all had to be cut down. Prior, if you remember we talked about the fuel farm, that all had to be taken down as a safety item before you could get reimbursed for the fuel farm and all that. So that is a lot of rock out there, a lot of dirt. That was all done. The upper right picture, that's a drilling rig making the holes to do blasting, to be very conscientious. Instead of several large blasts, we did 16 smaller blasts, so nobody got any phone calls about that. So that's great. So that's all done. That was about $1 million project. FAA funded at 90%. Your share ultimately, that's about 6.9% of that. And now it opens up, so everything you do moving forward, other than some maintenance items, is related to revenue generation at the airport. Positive energy, ad valorem creation. The fuel farm tanks are ordered. New fuel farm will be open in April. He'll pour the slab for this in late February, early March, kind of weather dependent. But the critical path is the delivery of the tank. That's already been ordered, that delivery date. We've just got an update that it's probably going to be at the very beginning of April. So we'll be up and going in April with that. The proactivity on that and the coordination you've done, if you think about if that hadn't been done and the existing fuel farm died, and we were just starting that process, you could be a year and a half out, 2 years out. But because you're proactive, we're going to have a short gap, but you're going to have a brand new nice facility. Again, for the airport users, that's a positive thing. For Richard, that's a positive thing. Again, like we talked about, we want to continue to build on that unique brand out there. All the hangars are full.
And this fuel farm would be self-service, right? So it'll be
yes, it have self-service. It was self-service that works. Right. Credit card swipe that works. It's all very positive from a tone setting. Right. Like Mike said, when we order those tractor trailers that deliver fuel, that's about 8,000 gallons of fuel in there. the cost of transport, if you can, it is the same whether they bring you a half load or they bring you more. So with this size farm, we can accept full loads at a time. Essentially, we pay the same transport. It makes our fuel price cheaper. We're just more competitive. We sell more fuel. It's super positive. So, and then like I mentioned, we'll continue to work toward that focal point of 2022 being a big celebration. And as we do these things at the airport, that is a community asset, so you can have other events out there, whether it's car shows, whether it's, some combination of a fly-in and other events out there. To know that you have that available, it's an asset, right? So we'll continue to work toward that. As a quick recap on kind of the ad valorem that is thrown out by the aircraft, single-engine piston aircraft is about $500,000 to $2,000 a year. Prices vary wildly, and time on the engine affects it and all that, but that's about what you're getting. Twins, $2,000 to $4,000. We'll get into, this is small to mid, not large size corporate jet. Small to mid, you start to throw off some of those value attached. So as we have a T-hanger out there now, we have a second T-hanger. Beyond that, we'll start to put in place some hangars that can have something a little bigger in it. And you have room if somebody wants to come out and lease land, a company comes out, lease land, and put something like that in. It's great. You continue to position in a positive way while being fiscally responsible. Existing based aircraft, so the 103 airports in Georgia, the based aircraft, the planes that live at the airport and we pay ad valorem, right now we're 65th out of 103 airports in Georgia. That's actually pretty good, right? And you think of, yeah, that's good. Okay, so, but with our hangars full, the plan now has always been fuel farm taken care of, and then the next thing we go to is, with the waiting list that drives it, is a T-hanger. The FAA grant assurances, the strings attached to the federal money you get, we've talked about that before. One of those is revenue derived on the airport has to stay on the airport. So, for example, the check, the $25,000 check back, is allowed to go back to the county because that's essentially the county has supported other projects, right? But as we continue to go forward, the airport becomes more and more able to generates more revenue, is more able to pay for projects. This is an example. So this next T-hanger project, what we're planning now is we're going to begin that process. The intent is that the airport authorities would get their own loan, structure that, the revenue off of the blue hangar, the existing T-hanger, and the new T-hanger would pay that off. We do a lot of these kind of projects. Typically that formation is, the quality of the building that we put in is such that you go 12 to 15 years with no maintenance on it. So the doors and things like that are of a quality that lasts that long, so you don't have any cost for maintenance. Then you take that period, and that's when you pay back. That's essentially how long you carry that debt and pay back. So it ultimately comes back to what you charge per month for the hangar space. So for today, talking about this, the intent with that second hangar, T-hanger is, it would be designed, bid. We know what the prices should be for that. So if we have an unusual period where we have a spike in steel prices, or we have a lot of contractors are busy and get high prices, there's a price point at which that project will not go forward. It will only go forward if it's self-sufficient. The airport can use airport revenue, which has to stay on the airport anyway to do that. So for today on that is to bring to the board and just say that's the intent, that the airport authority would get their own loan for that. The firewall is after we open bids on it. If that number's too high, it's a math thing, it's not emotional. The number's too high, that the price per unit would not be supported by the tenants, that project will just be on hold until we come back and look at that. And we know enough to know when we're going to see trends with steel prices and things like that. And we do a lot of this project. So one of the big new things to bring today is that that's the intent, as long as the board supports that, obviously, that, it's positive. It's wonderful to bring things like, is it okay if the airport authority paid for their own stuff?
And it would be a 10-unit hangar?
Yes, it'd be 10. So taking that, when that thing, and you've got a waiting list that would fill it, what that does when that hangar's in, barring high bids or something else that would be being fiscally responsible, we move forward. Barring that, you'd be looking at maybe by the end of the year having it in. When that's in, you add 10 based aircraft, that puts you 43rd out of the 103 airports in based aircraft. And you would own everything. You've controlled it, you have a new fuel farm, Richard's in now, wonderful, positive things going on. It's not, airport authorities writing checks back to the county for support is a very unusual thing, I'll tell you that. So that support that you've shown to the airport, and we go back to that runway extension years ago, what's happening here in this community is wonderful related to the airport. And really, in a way, it's a model for how community, it's hard work and it takes being fiscally responsible, but when you're at 43rd in the state, the next hangar you add after this one's paid off, you're punching way above the weight if you look at population basis and things like that in a very positive way. So anyway, it's a really cool positive message all from the support and cooperation.
You said there's 103 or 105 total?
103. Mm-hmm.
So what do you need from us today?
Really nothing. Thank you. The one thing would be just the support, the agreement to support the airport authority in getting that loan for the hangar, but that would actually be, again, they'll have the firewall, and there's a price point that we will not go beyond if the prices are high because of, again, steel or something. We'll just stop and hold it. We'll have to get to that bid open. So the thing being requested would just support of the airport authority getting the loan for that hangar.
So us just giving you guys an agreement to be able to move forward with looking.
That's basically it, yeah. Yeah. You got it. And then again, ultimately, beyond this, this is a little mock-up that just shows, I think I'd shown this before, but this just shows the kind of the brownish terracotta color do not exist. The long skinny building is the new T hangar. Those other ones, it just shows how you have room to build out. So if an entity approach from an economic development standpoint, approach Jane, wanted to base here, we have spots they can go to today and be at the airport. Knowing you've got new fuel farm, you got 5,000 feet, you got Richard out there if they have any issues with the plane. Terrific position to be in. So anyway, positive message. Thank you for all the support and continue to do great things. Thank you.
Drive by there, and there's a lot going on. But it is, I think it is one of our biggest treasures is that us that own it, we're debt-free, we've loaned money, but we've gotten it, paid back. All of it, and we've given money back.
And as you go forward, so the next thing beyond hangars is we look for, part of 2022 as a goal, is looking forward to doing a small, kind of cool terminal building out there. It would have restrooms and stuff so that folks who come out for community events, you can use that. But it's real cool. You'd have people who fly in to do tourism in the county from far away. And you'd also, by having it, you now get the facility to a place where you can have other community events. So it's just another tool of community beyond even the aviation stuff. So by having these events, I think, going forward the spring each year leading up to 2022 and then continuing on, but that it lets the community come out and see it and become familiar with it and understand that it's a positive asset to be proud of in the community. So, great. Thank you.
that or maybe take more attention on it. And, as you can see, wow. So here's what it says, is we have a motion to execute these for the sale to the local right of way and allow this, only. So a motion, we have a second. Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, number 9. Received a letter from the board of the Clerk of Field requesting to recalculate taxes for 2019 on property for Second Avenue and Manchester, donated to the Clerk of Chapter 123. I need a motion on the board to allow to recalculate those taxes and bring that back to the board approval. Well, the taxes are all based on the what usually happens is, I don't know the problem. What you would pay a portion of that, and I would pay a portion of it, or your portion goes to the I would tax. Under this particular scenario, you have actually pay for the prorated portion of the tax, which solely to related to a profit, which is not tax. And what they call that profit including taxes is this free range, that portion of it, and just accept what was actually being paid to that person. And they have a set rate of that, they're
That's normal for a nonprofit.
I did say so we have a motion to allow the facility to calculate those taxes and bring that back to us. Motion, a second. Motion, a second, all in favor? I'll bring that back. And we already number 10 to the agenda to allow Mr. Mark Robinson on the White Lake to
Greetings, everyone. I hope everyone had a healthy, happy Christmas holiday and has a happy and healthy, prosperous New Year. I'm here today representing the White Oak Creek Covered Bridge Steering Committee as well as Citizens for Action. And as you know, since October 22nd, when you gave approval to keep Oakland Road open, we have been working on designs, organizing and preparing to begin construction, refurbishing the White Oak Creek Covered Bridge. One of the areas that has been a problem for us has been obtaining plans from GDOT, and I'm not interested in why we're not getting the problems. I've got another method to solve the problem, and I'll explain that to you here momentarily. But here is a design for a bridge that we're currently looking at. It'll be modified, but it does have eye appeal, and I'd like you all to take a look. It has the walkway, bicycle way, and it has the lattice design, which would allow you to look up and down the creek as you cross it. The main Yep. Bruce has got ways to modify that, but this is just something that everyone seems to like looking at. We've looked at a lot of designs, and this is just one of them. Of course, the load bearing on this bridge is going to be carried by the steel girders and the concrete floor, which we intend to put a concrete floor in. so that it would not be subject to arson or lightning strike fire or whatever. Now, there are several companies that can assist us in this, and there are certain aspects of this job that we do not have the equipment to do. So we're going to have to hire it out. We are funded, and we have more funding coming. And this is a company that has got our attention. They do covered bridges. They go all over the country doing them. They'll do free estimates for design work, and they're experts in the field. They did do a bridge recently in Upson County. I'm not sure which one it is, but I have a photo of it.
Oh, we need one more. There's supposed to be 2 sheets there.
So do we have any plans from this company yet?
No. Up until within a couple days ago, what we assumed was we were going to get plans from GDOT. We don't have them. We don't have them yet, and we're anxious to get moving on this project. So what we're planning to do is, Bruce is going to contact some people locally, and Bruce and I are going to go see, well, there's 5 companies here that I've been in contact with. They're all in Atlanta. They're all civil engineering firms that build bridges, design bridges, and I'm not sure all of them build bridges, but they all do GDOT work. So they're familiar with the requirements of GDOT. And my plan is to take pictures of them, of the bridge, have them come down, look at the bridge, and then design us various options that we can use for construction of the bridge. And then we'll take those plans to GDOT and see if we can get approval of them, which shouldn't be a problem since these engineering firms will be designing it to GDOT specs. So that's what we want to get working on right away. So that's what we plan on doing. Now, one of the other problems we have is that I really can't go into these businesses and go, hey, I'm a citizen, I want to rebuild this bridge. I need something from the county that recognizes that we have your approval to pursue bids, obtain, supplies, etc., your blessing, so that they can look at it and go, okay, well, we can provide you with this for a fee. Of course, we'll pay the fee. But there is almost no expense, if any, to the county on this bridge. We do not have a timeline on it. We don't have the design yet. But we're real anxious to get going on this. So if you can provide us with a letter, that would help me greatly when I go to see these people, as well as Bruce. Bruce is going to be working locally. I'm going to be up in Atlanta.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Robinson. You said something to allow you to go into these businesses and let them know that you have the support from us, and you said also for supplies.
Right.
So what type of supplies?
Well, our basic plan is to hire a company to design the bridge, and then we're going to use local labor to build the bridge. And we'll satisfy the insurance problem for that. But right now, we want to do the work that we do not have the equipment to do with a company that has its own insurance. The supplies would be, Bruce says, hey, cement, steel, I need someone to go to Home Depot, and I need you this, and this, and I take in a letter, and I see if I can negotiate a discount.
Let me ask this, and maybe our attorney can chime in too. What we've approved so far is for the group to go out and look for plans to bring back to present to us. At this point, we have not made any motions or voted on or agreed to building that bridge actually. We want to look at the plans. So right now, as far as something going to a supply store to obtain what is needed, at this point, there shouldn't be anything needed, is the way I'm thinking it, because all we have approved is for you guys to go and get plans to bring back and present to us.
Okay. But I still need a letter to give to the engineering firms.
Is that okay for us to do?
What, a letter that says to the engineering firms why? I'm just curious.
A letter that says that White Oak Creek Covered Bridge Steering Committee, Citizens for Action Group, Kenneth Rawlinson, Bruce O'Neill have the support of Meriwether County. Words to that effect. I don't know how to word it, but just an introductory letter so that they see that we have the government of Meriwether County behind us. And we're not just...
Are they looking for the confirmation that there's financial support from the government of Meriwether County?
No. No, you can state in it that it's all going to be done through
Like
private
I said,
funding.
Unless the board is willing to commit financial support, I would want to make sure the letter was clear.
Right. I think
It's not saying financial support.
Right, I would think at this point it should just say to obtain plans for building to present to the Board of Commissioners for
Right.
approval to move forward to GDOT would be the only thing.
Exactly.
I would just make sure it's clear that you're not pledging, not even suggesting you're pledging your financial support.
Right.
The rebuilding of the bridge.
Well, that would say financial, if we say rebuilding, but to obtain plans in,
I just don't want y'all to go, I don't want them to go down the road and the engineering firm incur a bunch of money thinking that y'all are gonna pay for it
because you did make the statement at that vote that they could obtain a copy of the minutes which says that you had the support of this board to obtain plans, and I think at this point that's probably what we need to do, because that does say it's official minutes from us that is
But if we
official
could put it
government
in,
document.
I'm sorry.
That's cool.
If we could put it in the form of a letter, though, saying what our attorney has said, though,
Right.
that might make a better presentation. You know,
Can you,
Why don't y'all submit a letter that you think they need to Mr. Gay, and we can review it and then put it on official county letter?
I think it would look better if we could do it that way.
I think we could word it to be sure. We could no doubt word it. I'm not familiar with a situation where an engineering firm wants a letter like this when they're not seeking financial support,
so if you can put something in writing as to what you're thinking and send it there, and then we'll review
Yeah,
it.
so this is what we need to do.
Okay.
This looks good, though.
Yeah, I like
I suppose I could go to these firms and just tell them as a citizen, I want work up on it, and I'm gonna pay the bill. And they're in business to design things, so I can do that, but I would prefer to have a letter. I mean, one way or another, this bridge is gonna get built. I don't care if I have to pay for this entire thing myself. I'm gonna get this bridge built. So.
Why don't we do that where we can do something on our letterhead, but do it under the guidelines that the attorney has suggested, so you have something to take, and I just think it would look better if it was on our
Yeah, just send a draft
letterhead.
there on
and stuff.
email saying this is what we need, and then we'll take a look at it
And as long as it fits within
Yeah,
what
we need
we
to
voted on
change it,
for the
we'll change
plans to come back to us, and that's fine.
Okay.
if we'll turn that around, I could, once we get a review of it, we can send it out to everybody. And, would you guys, y'all want to have someone authorized to sign the letter, the chairman? You guys want me to sign the letter?
Doesn't matter to me. Do y'all care if they're in, or?
No, that's fine. If they can sign that way, it'd be quicker probably to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Once you get it and Nathan approves it,
Yep.
it's sent to us, and yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Timeline on that.
Well, as soon as they send it to us, then we will review it and go from there.
And that's, and Commissioners, that's just what I'm asking, is the review process. I understand that if we get the letter to you tomorrow, we don't want to let this drag on for another month.
Yeah. He can email it to us.
Yeah.
He
Once
can
receives
email it to us, since we're agreeing that he can sign it. As soon as he emails it to us, then he can sign it.
Okay.
Well, we'd have to get, the attorney would have to
That
review
would
it.
take 5 minutes.
Right, so
It should be.
it should be by the end of the week.
All right.
Thank you.
I know nothing about building bridges. Bruce knows a lot about building bridges, but I need to go into these meetings with having some kind of knowledge of what I'm looking for, asking for besides a picture, because there's more to this bridge than what you're looking at. So, to that extent, I've got this manual that I just got from GDOT. It's almost 300 pages. It's their Bible on how bridges and design, structures are to be designed. And it has helped me in understanding more what I need to do. So we will make a good impression on with these engineering companies, and we'll get this bridge built. So Bruce has some things he wants to add, if that's okay. So I'll step out of the way, and I'll get that letter to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins.
Yep.
Actually, I hadn't been down to the bridge but one time. That was yesterday. In 2 months. You know, because we agreed to let hunting season get over and not put a push on to go down there and cut nothing, to start work on nothing down there because of the situation with the land over there. So hunting season's about over with. So I went down there yesterday just to look around, and I was a little bit shocked at what I saw. I'd like to share these pictures with you. I won't let take pictures this time, so it's a thumb drive. Would you mind passing it down? The landowners has put fences right up against the rock wall, not even enough room to walk down through that.
Are they all different pictures?
Yes, okay. And you can see the existing old fence in the pictures too. And they have moved the barbed wire and the posts out in the roads, past the ditches, making the road real narrow. You can't even turn around. I had to back up yesterday over a quarter mile just to turn the vehicle around. And I think they need to be moved back where the existing fences was, or either at least moved back on the outside of the ditches. The ditches is on the outside of the fence now, and you can see in the pictures from the old fence and the new fence, some of them been moved 20 feet. And if we put a walkway on the outside of that building for bicycles and walking, you don't want them to come across that walkway and then get right back in a one-lane road between those walls and walk out. It needs to be enough room, at least for a person or a bicycle, to go down the outside of that rock wall, for safety reasons, you know. And we can put that on either side, north side or south side, you know, just, I think somebody with the county needs to take a look at that. And
That's what I was gonna say, Bruce. Let me ask Darren or Bill Cawthorn if they could just make sure that what the landowner did is within the rights of doing it.
It should be on prescriptive right away.
top of the bank, bottom of the slope.
Yeah, back of the ditch is what was, which is, you have the road, the
So
ditch.
that would be in too
back
far.
Certain sections of it is. And neither party has any cows or livestock, anything down there. Those fences are put in there to restrict movement down there, is all I'm gonna say.
We'll verify.
And no place to turn around, you know, and no place to work on the bridge and get materials in there to the bridge. And we didn't intend to go down there and cut any trees back anyway. Just a small growth stuff that's surrounding the walls and all. If you just move it back on the outside of the ditches, and the other thing is, there's no water drainage down there now. They moved the fence on the big pile of dirt on the south side of the road that's blocking all the water and holding the water. It's got nowhere to drain because it's been stopped up where the water can't leave the road. And you know yourself, it's only going to get worse and worse. And we don't want nothing out of the ordinary. We just want to be able to use the ditches that's been existing there for 150 years.
We'll check on it, I promise.
Good.
I can have this script.
And y'all keep those pictures, share those pictures.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda is report from our finance director.
got the bank out for, almost 3.5 million. We'll get another sizable check from the tax collector's office by the 15th of this month. Excuse me. To mention something else, if you look at the SPOS line item, maybe two, that's what we'll pay the final payment to regions, pay off the bonds, and that's due. My payment's due 6 is due June 1st. And this balance did not include December collections or January paper reports, and they run at about 170,000, so we'll be well over the $1.6 million, so we're in good shape there. And any excess funds will be distributed to the county and then the cities based on the population percentages. So we're in good shape there. And based on the information we got from Department of Revenue, collections for those two, T-SPLOS and SPLOS, will begin April 1st. And they will be notified, vendors will be notified through the website they go to pay their taxes each month. Other thing I want to mention, that Patty was too kind when she mentioned that she hadn't got the machines yet. The reason she hadn't got it is because we dropped the ball on getting that space ready for her. No heat in there right now. It's a long story, I won't get into that. We'll have that situation rectified by the end of the week so she can take delivery next week on those machines. And I apologize to her for us dropping the ball on that.
You already went through training on those? Some. They'll do the other down here when they bring it, or?
I'll have to do the training, but there are some components that we have to have our training.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Patty. Patty, I know the Secretary of State came to Meriwether County and did a talk presentation. During that time, you mentioned that there was a mobile bus that they would have to come into counties to do demos and things of that nature. Can you share that with you as well?
He did not, but I do know that there is one, and the way it was put to us is they would prefer to have large events to go to.
Okay. But there is an option to have that available so people can look at it in advance.
If we meet their criteria.
I mean, I can, if you have something and you want to ask or you want me to ask, I'll be happy to. I can't guarantee that the answer will be yes.
Oh, I understand that. I think my point was that there is an option to provide that if there's a, like I said, big enough venue or something to bring in here. Thank you.
I believe it's fine, big enough. The fair would have been an option. I think they're looking at attendance is what big enough would.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is report from the county administrator.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Safe built contract, that the board executed, they are in place now, and they are doing the inspections for the county. We also have code enforcement in place now. The prison cruise, as I mentioned earlier, will start on Monday, and Public Works, Bill Coffman, and Terrell, they did a good job of getting all that together. We're going to be starting again working really soon on community code. Beverly and I talked about that. We need to have what we've done that's fully adopted, and any future changes we'll just bring back to the board. We had a utility company come in yesterday to meet with us about what permits were required to place a utility in the county right of way, which of course then means, they're trying to expand and grow. We do have a utility permit that we have developed. We need to bring that back on the board.
Can we stop any sidebar chats at this moment so we can hear the county administrator? Thanks.
We have developed that plan. We need to have that permit come back to you guys. The importance of the plan is not necessarily in raising fees or whatever, but the importance if we go back and we have to relocate or work on those roads, then they have to relocate that at their cost, not our cost. So that's an important factor of that, and we'll be working on that. They are fine with it. They said, hey, we'll agree with that. We do it. We understand. But we'll also bring that back will be notified, and somewhere around that period of time, we'll probably go ahead and just send the letters out as we talk to all the business license owners. We've been working on a lot of year-end things, and it's amazing how quick, the last 3 or 4 weeks have gone. I got a local company who's coming in this afternoon to talk to us about some roadside spraying, and so we're going to be talking with them, but I think Bill has already been working on putting a contract together or a bid package together on that. And at your last meeting, we had a lady come in and she made a statement that there were people living in storage buildings out in their neighborhood. We did inspect that. We found that not to be accurate. One person is building a home, and he has got it permitted. The other person is storing some things there, but there's no evidence of living there. And so I just wanted to get back, and we'll come and say things. I thought it would be a good idea to follow up on that and understand that everything we hear is not always the case. And that's all.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I would just like
Madam
to...
Chair.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Mr. Chair.
I didn't call that. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Mr. Gabbard, I would like to earmark so the next session would be for work session, and I would like to place on that board to revisit the recreation ordinance. We have a severe problem with that and not being able to get members here, so I would definitely like to have that placed on the...
Okay. Is that the recreation board advisory ordinance?
Yes.
We need to look at, Mr. Mary and I attended the last board meeting that they had, and again, there was no quorum, so they couldn't have that meeting. And we talked about the fact we probably need to go in and revamp it and look at maybe downsizing what we have.
So would this be, we have a work session in January, is that right?
Right.
Okay, I see it, never
At
mind.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
So we do need to look at that, because as is, they can't have those bi-monthly meetings because they're still not having a quorum.
Right. I think the membership is that, I believe.
Right.
What I'll do is we'll send all of you guys a copy of the current ordinance, and we'll take a look at it, and then let me know if there's, hey, we want to change this or whatever, and we'll try to have that modified ordinance later.
Me personally, I would like to change the number that's on that board, because 9 is kind of hard, and no other board that we have that many members. So we definitely need to downsize that board. Personally, I would like to see it as each commissioner just appoint one like we do all the rest of the boards.
Right. And I do think also we need to look at the time on that, because 4 o'clock in the afternoon is hard for a lot of the people that do work that want to participate on this board.
Right.
So we need to look at maybe a 6 o'clock meeting or something. Okay?
Can you have, I know what a quorum means, but can you have more people, but you set what your quorum is? Does that make sense? Or is it a set amount?
If it's just an advisory board, y'all can set it up.
So if we had the 9 or 10 or whatever we have, could we set and say that our quorum is 3? I'm just using that for
I
an
would
example.
not do that.
Okay, all right, okay.
I hadn't researched that, but I mean,
I'll just
very
ask.
unusual.
Okay.
It's usually half plus 1. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know what a
Half
quorum
plus
usually
1.
means, but I just wonder if there was, okay, that's fine.
All right.
All right, I'll try to, we'll send it out, but I'll also try to make some modifications to it. We all can look at that too.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, report from our county commissioners. Commissioner Hines.
Once again, I want to say happy New Year to everyone. Just a couple of things. In the town of Roanoke, for the past month, at the Old Country Store, they've been hosting different events there to do community outreach. They will continue to do that, hopefully into the coming year. One of their goals is to have it as a satellite place for Get Meriwether Ready for Reading. We know that's a big initiative for the state as well as the county. And so they're hopefully putting a little mini library there that will allow people to come and read and things of that nature. So
also open it up for local vendors who would like to come and display their crafts and things at that store. So as soon as they get more detail, I'll bring it to the county as a whole to once again support local businesses. On the upcoming work session, I think I heard someone that said let's have an opportunity where you can discuss ahead of time what you want on the work session so that we can do it in a timely manner. I would like to bring either to this work session or to the next work session to talk again about roads and especially those roads that, the dirt roads. I know Bill has already looked at the roads that are surface and graded them. We talked about grading the dirt roads and also identify those roads that we can start working with through our T-Splosh. I have some specific things that I'd like to bring up. So I would like for us to have that discussion at the next work session on the 28th. The last thing I want to bring up, and I brought this to the attention of our newspaper, Mr. Bagley. Thank you for saying you're going to address that. And I do want to say for those who are here at the meeting today, thank you so much for starting off our first meeting of the year with a full house. But a lot of people do go to the paper to identify what's going on in the community, and for whatever reason, we've noticed that the commissioners' meeting dates were incorrect several times. So we just want to make sure so that people who want to come will be coming on the right day and show up. So just, you said you would go ahead and take care of that. We would appreciate it.
Review, acknowledged, and accepted.
That's it for me, thank you.
I do have a question for you, Commissioner Hines. You were talking about vendors can come to the Roanoke and all that. How does that work? Do they rent a space? Do they profit? Who gets paid? Or how does that work if there are vendors that are interested?
I don't have that particular detail on it. I think the town just decided for the holidays just to open the country store to just get a feel for it, and it went extremely well. I hosted an event there for Santa Claus, and we were very blessed that the Salvation Army out of LaGrange donated us some toys, and in that we gave that away. We were able to serve a total of 61 families that came through. That's good. The second event was, once again, our outreach. We had pancakes for the kids, and I also thank the chief for allowing the firemen to come over and read to the kids. That's opened up the library. It was such a beautiful day. They spent more of their time on the fire truck. So once again, it's just, I think the city is still, the town of Roanoke is still trying to determine what that's going to look like. The response was really good, so once we have more detail, I'll bring it back to the board and just get it out in the newspaper.
I was just curious about the vendor part and how that would work if we had some interested. So, all right,
So
thank
as soon as they have the detail on that, I'll be glad to provide it.
you, Commissioner. Gray.
Also, I would like to say Happy New Year to everyone. This year, and I want to comment on Commissioner Hines on the event she did host at the country store. I mean, it was amazing the number of toys that Salvation Army donated. And at the pancake event, they came and said that they were willing to work with Meriwether County, and anything that they had left over that, they would be willing to allow Meriwether County to have it. So I think I give kudos to them because they did a great job. You would not believe the toys that she received, and they could have done even more. So I think that was a blessing to the families in Meriwether County. But on my personal agenda, I would like to share that I did finish a course in grant writing, and my main goal for this year is to work with the Recreation Department. I would like to see some things begin to happen in Meriwether County with the Recreation Department, and if that and doing me taking my personal time to do grants or whatever, then so be it. But we need to get on the ball with recreation here in Meriwether County. With that being said, I think that's all I have.
Congratulations.
I said, congratulations, that was a great score.
Thank you. All right, I want to thank everybody. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you for allowing me to come into this position from my peers. And I do want to say, some people will probably think it's demeaning to the position, but I still am the same way in the fact that you guys do not have to call me and address me as chairman. You can address me as Brian, you can address me as commissioner, whatever you want to do. It does not have to be chair, it doesn't bother me. So I wanted to put that out there. have a few recommended changes that I want to look at this year, and of course, it's up to the rest of the board. But my goal as chair will be to keep our meetings on task so that we can spend our time and do the exact business of this county, not to do something that's outside of that, because that's why we're put here. I would like to see the department heads to either come to the first meeting of the month, because we have departments like Patty, who she has to get someone to sit in because she's a one department person. So if we have something that is detrimental or needs to be placed out there that we all may have questions, yes, that department head come. Other than that, I think they can give a brief synopsis report to the administrator, and at the time of his report, he can give that to us. Public Works is a little different animal at times. Kathy's department's a little different animal at times, but for the most part, I would like to see that they not have to come unless it is something that we absolutely need for them to do a presentation on, but that's up to the rest of the board as well. I wanted to see work sessions limited to once a quarter, but we've already voted on that, so we can take that out. And also, a couple of things that have been on most of our agendas over the years, the expansion of countywide water. We still need to see that. We know that we're going to have to rely on the cities to help us in this. So I'd like to do that, but what I'd like to ask this board, if we can establish a recycling or set up a study committee to address the expansion of the water system as well as the recycling and garbage collection system in this county. I think we need some type of study to determine where it needs to be, what we need to allow if we do recycling, what have you. So if we can think about that until the next time to see if we can get a committee to look into that and what we need to do as a county to get this set up, because I think it is something needed. The only thing we really have right now is Turkey Run, and the people on the end of the county where Beth and I are at, they don't have any place to go and dump. They have to take their garbage. If they have bigger items, they can't take them. So I think if we can set up some type of fenced-in, manned area that is open certain days per week, certain hours per day, then I think we can provide something to the citizens of this county. And I actually like to see it to where it is self-sufficient. It doesn't cost the citizens of this county any money, because we're already asking a lot of the taxpayers, and I don't think we need to ask anymore. That's all I have. Commissioner Haddon?
Happy New Year to everyone. Looking forward to a good year in 2020. Just have a couple of things I want to mention. And this came through conversation with Citizen when we were talking about broadband in rural area, and those of you that have worked with broadband may already know about this, but they asked me about something called Starlink. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I'll just tell you a little bit. I've got some information here of what they told me about it. They were having their third launch of satellites this past Monday. Was going to get them to 180 satellites. They're providing, it's something that rivals your fiber optic speed. This person seems to think that it's something that rural areas could look into as far as broadband. I'll be glad to share this information with whoever's working with that. I don't know if it's something that can help us or not, but if it could, I think it'd certainly be worth looking into. The other thing, I'd like to follow up on the thing about the garbage. We may need to get some clarification with waste management once again about what is allowed to be carried up there on Saturday mornings and the hours. I know we've been over this several times, but I had some people in my district to take some things up there on Saturday morning, and they were turned down. But then in the conversation, others took the exact same thing and they were allowed to dump it. Maybe it just depends on who's there watching it that day, if anybody's watching it. But maybe if some clarification that we could post about the hours. Yeah, and maybe if they could help us with that. And if they do have people out there manning it sometime, and it's sort of a their discretion what's done, maybe we need to know that too, because if you make the trip 30 plus miles up there with something, you certainly want to be able to drop it off. And then some were charged for the same thing that others were not charged. There may be a logical reason, I don't know, but I think if we could check into that and put it out there for the citizens and maybe put it on our website too, that might be of some help.
We did have it on our website.
We did, but it's,
Removed.
yeah, I don't think it is, because I went to look, I was trying to send somebody to the website, so I went to look, and I was in a hurry, and I may not have looked well enough, but I did not see it on there any longer, because it did used to be on there, you're right.
We had an issue with that before, and we, I think, put it on the website. I actually visited here, it's been 3 or 4 weeks ago, myself personally. There was just a line of trucks, no one was really monitoring anything. You know, I'd stroll around and took my stuff off and you know, other than tires or whatever. But yeah, we'll get that information.
And maybe a conversation with Turkey Run might be needed, just to make sure, like I said, we want to make it accessible, because that is one of our agreements with our host agreement, that is provided.
And maybe they need to post it out there, what can be, what can't be, and the price range for it.
Yeah.
And another thing that we need to do is, as we start to talk about opening these other sites, we need to talk with them about maybe helping us, working with that in terms of hauling this from time to time to the landfill, keeping us from having to have, like, you know, rollback trucks, maybe they can help that. So I think they got to be a piece of that puzzle as well as we go forward. But I'll definitely contact them and we'll get some information.
The other thing I want to mention is, I mean, most of you know that I've worked with something called Operation Empty Stocking for 30 plus years, and it's something that's really North Talbot and South Meriwether, something that started all those years ago, but it has grown some, and over the last few years we've had some people from Greenville and Woodbury to step up to help with it, and this year the people in Greenville actually included, I know their Lions Club, but some of the fire departments, maybe Appleton Fire Department, I don't know, somebody got us further into the county, and we were able to serve 260 families, which would equated to a little over 1,200 people. And that was with gifts of toys and clothing, and that was working with Toys for Tots, plus purchase toys and food. And I just appreciate so many people coming together, and I'm always willing to work with whomever. They can go through us, but if somebody wants to take the ball and do that in other areas, they can certainly coordinate through us. That's how Greenville and Woodbury got started several years ago. And we do the legwork and get it all together. They just have to come pick up and have to be willing to take families and screen them or do whatever. But we got a whole year to work on this. And like I said, I am always willing to talk to anybody about it. It is, I mean, we must be doing something right to have been able to do it for the length of time that we have, and a lot of businesses and individuals and churches come together to, I think it was 20 churches total that helped with this. So like I said, we've got a year to work on it. I'm willing to, anybody wants to try to help bring it to other areas of the county, I'll be glad to help get that started. Again, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Commissioner McCoy?
Thank you. I have a couple of positives and one negative, but first, let me just say welcome to the first year of the rest of your life. Now, this weekend it was very positive for after we got going with Massengill Mill, and I appreciate the work that Public Works did down there, because they're Saturday and Sunday after the major rains and the culvert washout. Any idea how long that's going to take, Tyrell?
This depends on how long it takes the pipe to get in.
So y'all decided the pipe is just not worth putting back in there?
It's the rest of the bottom.
Okay. Appreciate that. Now, one thing I want to say that I really enjoyed is your recent road report. You're calling it request detail report with I call it the red arrow report. Have y'all experienced that? If you haven't seen it, you get a screenshot of everything that's been done during this interval, whether it's a month, whatever, and then you can hit on the red arrows to see what the details are. It makes it very nice. Who came up with that?
Yeah,
Brandy did a good job. She's still back there?
Huh?
Well, it gives you everything in one page, and then you can just kind of hit on the red arrows. It just fills in the detail. One other thing that is a problem area is over on 362 at Alberton. That where back of your mama's house there, Bruce, the old dumping, where we used to have the dumpsters located. We left a few things out there, and now it's acting like a magnet. People are just stopping and making donations.
Well, we didn't leave anything.
Oh, okay.
They just brought this up and started dumping ground. Probably gonna have
Okay.
some cables, something.
Well, I thought because they got into there so quick, we just had left something, but we didn't. Okay. Y'all look at that, because if we don't do something, it's gonna grow into its own dump there.
362, it's the spot where they put, when we had the cleanup crew, we moved into that location, and unfortunately, people felt like it was a permanent location.
Because dumpsters used to sit there.
Dumpsters.
Sitting there for 25 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be there that long. Where my store was, my dumpster's out back, they've been gone since I closed. Folks are coming and dumping where my dumpster used to be. Right there on my, so it doesn't matter. Folks just,
They stop and put garbage in my trash can by the road. I get other things with garbage.
That's all I have.
they do whatever.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner McCoy. Now report from our county attorney.
Madam Chairman, no.
Take that off the camera.
Mr. Chairman, all mine will be executive session.
All right. Thank you. Now we'll move to the next item, public comment. Do we have anybody signed up?
I didn't see that.
All right. Not having that, we...
I just signed up, but I
Oh, come on, Mayor Glover.
just need some help, that's all. On the squad, Mr. Bill, the remaining that we have prior to next year, this year, will that remain in Regions Bank, or will?
No.
Okay, where will that go?
We'll request that money, it'll come to the county, and I'll disperse it to the city.
Okay. And number two, forgiving taxes on properties of unpaid taxes. Is that something that has to be approved by legislators, or can the three entities agree to forgive?
You talk about like inside the cities?
Well,
Or,
yeah, we probably got some in the counties too.
you know,
But we have some properties where the taxes is more than the property is worth.
I think you could work on a settlement of that.
I've looked at that before. It's been a while since I've looked.
Yeah.
I mean, there's law out there on what you can do for giving taxes, but it's,
Yeah.
I don't have the answer in my head today.
But there should be a method to do that, because oftentimes, you'll have properties with penalties and interest that will be many times greater than the value of the property.
We have a lot of
If
them.
you don't end up resolving that some way, it just goes up and over.
Right.
Better to resolve it some way and get it back on the tax books if you can. And,
So where do I go to get an answer?
Your city attorney?
No, well, I talked to him and he said he thought the school would have to agree to
Yeah.
forgive, the county would have to agree to forgive.
I can look at it from a county's perspective, but I can't answer from, it's probably the same law for the city and the county, but it's probably been 10 years since I looked at it, so I just don't remember.
if you need those entities, I think everybody can work together to get it, because no one's getting any taxes.
Right.
I said we're not getting anything.
Nobody, it's just accumulating and
Right.
we've got some people who want to say bye, but,
I
yeah.
don't
That's all I
mind.
have.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chair, and to go back to what Mayor Glover was asking, and then maybe the attorney can elaborate, but I can go back and do some homework. But do some counties establish what they call a trust, a land trust, and you put that property in that trust so that it could be sold, especially when it's not an acre or full acre or something like that in the back taxes?
I've never heard, I've heard of land trust, but not for that purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding, land trusts are usually for conservation, preservation type stuff, in my experience.
Maybe that's the wrong terminology, and I'll go and look at it, because I know Fulton County, Gwinnett County, once again, had property that you weren't collecting. They did something where they were able to put it and make it available for, say, the landowner next to it and to buy it, so they can put it back on the road. But I'll do some due diligence on that and also reach out with Ace.
Well, I know counties like, say Fulton and DeKalb, they declare there's things like property and then they buy. But in our case, we aren't, they don't have money to buy.
You could, if there's legal taxes, you looked at recently, a property is $18,800 owed. It owed taxes, the property's not worth $5,000. So no one's ever gonna pay that $18,500 for a $5,000 piece of property. So,
It looks like we have another public comment.
Real quick, make it real quick, this is just so the commissioners are aware of what's going on. I've been kind of looking after the covered bridge at Emmerlac on Red Oak Creek ever since I've been married, 52 years. And y'all may not know this, but there's some vandalism going on down there, just before the big rain a couple of weeks ago. Some teenagers pulled up trash cans we had out there between the picnic table, threw them in the creek. And the tops washed away, but I took the backhoe and got them out. And I called Tyrell, told him about it. And I knew if I laid them back on the ground, they was just gonna roll them right back off in the creek. They're nice trash cans. County bought picnic tables. I actually bought all the trash cans to put out there at the same time years ago. But when y'all get ready to put them back in, I told Tyrell they at my house. Because if I'd have left them up there, they'd roll them right back off in the creek. They had to be cemented in. And the other thing is, there's some graffiti started back inside the covered bridge. They're not painting with psychedelic paint, but they got big magic markers and they're drawing and writing all in there. And also the wooden pegs, the historical wooden pegs, 1840 when that bridge was built. In my lifetime, there's never been one of them missing for 52 years, on the far end of it. Now there's 3 or 4 missing. And there's 7 or 8 more been knocked all the way over to the side. And they won't come out if you knock them in because they hit the boards back there. So a lot of it's like that and they need to be moved back over because it's weakening the strength of that bridge. And carving, they're doing a bunch of carving in there. And I guess they're doing it with pocket knives and all. And I go through there probably 10 times a week and I see crowds inside of there all the time, you know, but it only takes a second to put a magic marker back in your pocket. But good news is they're not painting with spray paint like they have been over the years, you know, but if we don't stop that magic marker and have some patrols down there, it's going to develop back into spray paint, and it's a big problem getting that stuff out.
I wonder if we could put some sensor cameras up in there, up in the eaves that would catch.
You have to really hide them, don't they, get them, you know.
we had some cameras.
We donated 8 to the sheriff's department a while back. I'm sure they probably still got some of them.
Mr. Chair, the problem with the cameras has been getting an adequate signal, and we're working on that too, trying to hopefully be able to bank off something else that's going in, so. We understand the problem with security. We've seen vandalism after vandalism.
Yeah, I just hate for them to start messing it up again, because we've had it about 8 or 10 years, but they hadn't given us a whole lot of problems down there, you know, it just started recently, but I know how it is. Since we put that night light down there, I see a bigger crowd, teenage crowd, staying there after dark, on up to 11 o'clock, and before the light, I ain't saying take the light down, because it's a nice.
You may need to though.
But, all of this started when the light went up, because they can sit on the picnic tables and do whatever they do out there, you know.
I mean, our thought was if they could safer living, they wouldn't pay the rail, but,
Have an opposite effect.
yeah, they could.
I apologize to the commission, I was running late, got the dates mixed up, my sister called me. And what I want to say is, it's good to be here, and I hope in,
David Andrews.
oh, my name is L.P. Rosser. I stay at 711 Leroy Robinson Road, Lucasville, Georgia. The first thing that I want to say, it's good to see you in that seat, Mr. Threadgill.
Is it?
And I hope that your county commission give you better respect than you did. And the reason I'm saying that, it's nothing nobody told me. I've been coming here since 2013.
Right.
And have missed 3 meetings.
I see you every time.
That's right. And I hope they give you better respect.
I will take what you say into
Okay.
my mind.
Now, let's get back to my road. I've been coming here, the only thing I hear about is resurfacing, paved road. I stay on Strickland Town Road, it's a dirt road. And I pay taxes. And I would like to see my road looking better than what it's looking. I don't know if anybody come down there and drive around to see what we got. Ditches here, ditches here. I may not drive a Cadillac, but I think my Focus is a Cadillac. And I would like for people to start coming down there, checking our road. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our attorney has said that we have need for executive session. What will it be for?
It'd be litigation, personnel,
And real estate.
and real estate.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead and announce the future meetings, January 20th, and notices, I'm sorry. January 20th, 2020 will be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Our work session will be at 4:30 on January 28th, and our regular scheduled meeting at 6 p.m. will be there following on the same day, January 28th.
And I'll make sure it's right in the paper.
Thank you very much. So, thank everybody for coming. Y'all can stay if you'd like, but if I could get a motion to go into executive session.
I move we go into executive session for legal, personnel, and real estate.
Have a motion, you have a second. Have a motion and a second, all in favor? So moved. Go into executive session.
Change it.